Welcome, everybody. My name's Jennifer Ehal, and I'm with Common Sense Media. I'm the regional manager for the Pittsburgh region. And with me today, I have Pam Diani with the Montour Area School District. She's the library media specialist for the high school. Want to say hello to everybody, Pam?
Hi, everyone.
Yes, we're so excited to have you here today.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes, absolutely. So we're going to talk a little bit about the Common Sense Education recognition program with a focus on the Educator badge. And as we get started, I just want to talk a little bit about how this process works. So you have the understanding of the criteria around what it takes to become a Common Sense educator. And then we're going to pull Pam in because we're going to talk to her about what made it work. She had every high school teacher or educator in the building go through this process. So she's going to share her best practices and her challenges around that. And so we're really excited to hear about how this process went. And so the process has 3 different steps: learn, do, and reflect. And I'm going to take you through those very quickly just so you have an understanding of how this rolls out. So the first thing I always do, or we do together, is plan. As a district, you really do have to create, a school vision that includes both digital citizenship and digital teaching. And then I've worked with the Montour Area School District for approximately 4 years now around digital citizenship and the implementation of the K-12 curriculum. So they've been recognized for 4 years now as becoming a Common Sense district. So it's really exciting. We've been really excited to work with them, and they're doing some really good things around digital citizenship in general. So the first part the educators are, required to do is choose 2 professional learning opportunities. And you can see here, I have them listed. It ranges from attending in-person PD, led by either myself or Pam has done some internal PD as well. They can also watch a Common Sense webinar. We have lots of great topics and content areas that are archived in our webinar library, and so those count. You can also complete an online digital citizenship training for our K-12 curriculum, or you could take a look at the ed tech side of things and look at different ed tech tools and look at our different reviews that we have for implementing those tools in the classroom. And so those are just a few of the things that the educators chose to do as they went through this process. And then next, the biggest part is implementing our K-12 curriculum. And so our scope and sequence is really 6 different topic areas that we talk about. It includes media balance and well-being. It includes digital footprint and identity. It includes cyberbullying, privacy, relationships and communicating, and last but not least, news and media literacy, which is the bucket or the topic that Pam focused heavily on. So we'll get a lot of feedback from her here in a minute. And then just to keep an idea there too, I want to make sure everyone's aware that we have updated all of our curriculum, K through 12. K2 and 9-12 will be set for August. So that will launch in August. So everything will be updated next school year, which is really exciting. So in the do part with the lessons, you're required, or the school building is required to teach 5 lessons in 2 grade levels or 3 lessons in 3 grade levels. So Pam made sure that that piece of that criteria was met in her building. And then in terms of the educator criteria for others, because sometimes in our buildings, we don't always have educators that have access to classrooms or access to students in order to teach digital citizenship lessons. And so there are other activities that they can get involved with. And so a list includes, being a part of hosting an engagement event for families, right? And sharing out Common Sense resources. So if they're involved in any of that planning, that would count towards their due activity. The teaching piece, obviously, and also on the teaching side, they could also teach a tech-rich lesson. So maybe they went through our digital tools and the reviews, and they decided to include some type of ed tech tool in their classroom for the first time. And so all of those types of things that they're working towards in order to integrate digital teaching and learning into their classroom would always work. And then last but not least, we just hope that they take a little bit of time to reflect on their experience as they go through this process. Just how they felt about, the things that they've learned and maybe how it impacted their professional growth or their classroom, or even their students and how they've been teaching them. And so a couple of sentences just as a reflection piece. I think that that's always important when you're trying something new in your classroom or for yourself. So without further ado, now that we have a little bit of an idea around what the criteria looks like for an educator to become some common sense recognized, we definitely want to talk to Pam a little bit about how this all worked in her building. And so Pam, I'm going to kind of let you take the lead, but let's talk about, what was the purpose and why, what were some of the factors that led to having every educator in your school become a common sense recognized educator?
Well, first and foremost, I've been certified as the teacher in the building for all of this, having our high school as a certified building for probably 8 years. And then the administration kind of bought into, the importance of being common sense certified and recognized for the district, because it is so important for our kids to be able to understand how to use the technology that they have access to every day correctly. So that's when they started to roll out district-wide, that core component. And there were several teachers in each building that were responsible for getting, the building certified. So this past year, it was just kind of the natural flow, the natural progression to get our high school teachers recognized as educators. We use technology every day. Our students are one-to-one. So every day we are using tech-rich lessons. Every day we are kind of, pulling in those elements that would be built into the more formal curriculum into our teaching, just because it's so important to let our kids know this is how you should be using this technology so it doesn't come back and haunt you later on in life. So we were lucky enough to have Jennifer come and meet with us over the summer and say, hey, this is the criteria and this is the process. This was an initiative that my principal felt very passionate about, and so we just decided to run with it.
Great. And I forgot, did you know how many educators at the high school level went through this process?
We have at the high school level, I believe it's between 68 and 70 high school teachers. Yeah,
good.
Just in our building.
Okay, wonderful. And so when you look back, when we first started looking at this initiative, how was it introduced to the staff?
So I created a Google Classroom. We're a Google school. So I created a Google Classroom and introduced it that way to the staff, like, hey, jump on board. Here's all of the information. This is the criteria. This is why we're doing what we're doing. And they were given, the first time they were given about an hour and a half in one of our in-service days to start the process and look at, the learn aspect of it. So they were able to go into and look at some of the ed tech tools, look at some of the ratings and reviews. Those were kind of our two big ones that the teachers really honed in on and found some valuable resources. We did have a couple of teachers go in and kind of explore the curriculum piece as well. So we really didn't have a lot of pushback. There was maybe just some confusion about, is this something that's mandatory? Is it something that, we have to do? How do we actually go about doing that? So probably a face-to-face meeting, it'll push through Google Classroom, would have clarified some of those. But people understood the criteria, they understood the importance of it. And it is kind of an initiative that we've been working on over the past few years. So we didn't have a tremendous amount of pushback, that we were lucky in that respect.
Oh, good. And how long did you give them, when you set up your Google Classroom for the educators, did you give them a timeline, so to speak, or was it more of a deadline, or did you have somewhat of a calendar of events for them to kind of work through?
That first day, they had access to just kind of be able to explore everything. We gave them a couple of days throughout the year to kind of focus in and make sure that they were going back and revisiting more formally. We had a deadline of May 1st for everybody to have everything finished and certified. So that's, the process that we used. A lot of times, like, you were my primary check-in point with all the reports that you would run for me. So that helped me a lot to go back and talk to the staff members to see if they were confused. I had to go sit one-on-one with some of them just because maybe they were absent or in different training that first day. So just to make sure that I had everybody and they were clear on what the expectations were. But that was kind of throughout the year on an as-need basis.
Okay, good. And yeah, we don't want to lose sight of, myself as the support person. We are able to run a report and really track every educator that's going through it. So at the end of, we were doing bi-weekly reports where I would just send them to who was, getting approved and who we still needed to kind of work with. So I felt like that was a really helpful piece as well.
Yeah, I wouldn't have, the teachers would have been very upset with me if I kept hounding them because they already had finished. And
right, exactly.
Asking, did you finish?
Exactly. So yeah, just kind of a more of a stronger communication piece where you're not bothering people if you don't need to. Good. Right. Well, that's awesome. I really like the idea of Google Classroom because it's just a really great place for people communicate together in one place, right? A collaboration piece. So,
and just be able to post the other additional resources, just not even on the educator side of Common Sense, but, on the parent portal side of Common Sense to be able to pass off information through that that teachers may not stumble upon on their own.
Right. And, obviously you're a Google school district, Google Classroom. So if you're a district or a school building that doesn't really participate with Google or Google Classroom, there are lots of other platforms, I'm sure, within your district, like that gather people, whether it's Schoology or, Canvas or, whatever your school platform is. I think all of this information is easily transferable into some collaborative space for your educators.
Right.
And so, you took the lead at your school. And so you said when you first started out, you had an hour and a half in-service day to kind of introduce it. So from that point till May, was it a lot of it where they had to do it on their own then? Or was there additional school time that was given?
Most of it they had to do on their own. So after they did the learn, they had ideas in terms of, like I said, most of the teachers liked the ed tech tools. And ran with several of those just to try out, these are some apps that you can use. These are some resources to enhance what you're doing. So the next part of it was just kind of a natural flow of this is what I learned. Being that all of this was at the beginning of the year, we're all kind of excited to try new things, to, add new information into our curriculum. So it was a great time to be able to have the teachers start thinking about, well, these tools that I just learned about, where can I slip them in later in the curriculum to be able to enhance what we're currently doing. So it wasn't necessarily any additional work that the teachers had to go and plan. It was like coming off of summer, we were happy to, be back together to learn new resources and to be able to incorporate them throughout the school year. If it was introduced in the middle of the school year, then when you're kind of in the cusp of all of this, it may initiate a little bit more pushback because it's like, okay, that's one more thing that we have to do. Mm-hmm. We have all these other, criteria that we have to meet. But I think starting it at the beginning of the school year when everybody's excited and want to try, new things, that was the most effective way of getting that buy-in.
Good. I mean, I heard two things out of that. The first one is timing is very important when you introduce. And so making that plan now, which is in the spring for next year, or really working towards the summer. So when the teachers or educators come back, they can hit the ground running. So definitely that. And I love how you talked about weaving it into what they're already doing, because nobody ever wants one more thing to do. So the message is really about, think about what you're already doing in your classroom through your professional development. whether you're looking at it as a school plan or a personal plan, I think everybody's looking to grow or, find something. So if you're already doing these things in your classroom, this is just a really good resource to use as an application. And so I really like that idea, because one and done is never, a positive outcome, right? We want to make sure it's constant and woven into the curriculum. So I love that. And so I guess before we kind of go to the badge, as you look back, maybe what worked really well as you look back at your year, and what advice would you give somebody in terms of that piece? And then secondly, was there a challenge or two that, you want to maybe address next time or do differently next time?
I think definitely having a face-to-face kind of overview of everything at the beginning, and instead of pushing it straight out to Google Classroom, would have been more effective, because a lot of the questions that I was getting, they were just general, that could have been addressed and maybe put people at ease in terms of my timeline here, what am I looking at, what additional things do I have to do. So I think us all being together as a group for about a half an hour or so, just kind of overviewing the process, would have definitely been something that I would change and encourage for the next time, or if you're just starting this, to definitely try to push for. The other part of it is we wanted to have Jennifer come in February, but things, life happens. I think having a Jennifer person kind of come in and give an overview, not just what Common Sense is, but different components of what products they have to offer, would have been something that the entire population, if they were finished or not with the badging process, would have been important, just so you can kind of see the different aspects and the different resources that are available from people that are, inundated with it every day. So those would definitely be the two big things that I would suggest to look at.
That's really good. It sounds like it went off with a hitch, though, with all things being done, said and done. I really just want to take a minute and congratulate you for all the hard work you did to push, 60 plus 70 educators through this recognition criteria. As easy as it sounds, it still has, a little back end work that you really have to kind of take time to coordinate. So, we definitely want to congratulate you. So everybody in your building got this beautiful Common Sense badge that's good for 2 years. So that's another exciting piece too. So they're good through next year as well.
And they are wearing them with pride on their signature lines.
Oh, good. So I'm glad that you took some time to celebrate with them. Does the school have any plans around, PR, press releases, social channels, website? I hope that,
we're active on Twitter. We're active in our local affiliates with, the news outlets. So we're pushing some releases out to them for, the end of the year blast.
Good. And you guys, your hashtag is Montour Proud.
Correct.
So you can follow your story and your school district story with that hashtag, Montour Proud. And so, if you have any other questions, thoughts, concerns, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. This celebratory piece really, at the end of the day, it just, as a school and a district and a person, an educator in the classroom, it's just good to share with your community, your parent community, that you're really committed to helping kids, think critically and using technology responsibly, to learn, create, and participate. And it also, I think, builds confidence around just digital citizenship in general and integrating tech into your classroom. So kudos to you and the Montour Area School District, and congratulations on this really, really great time with the badge. So
thank you for all of your help, because we don't do it without you. That's for sure.
Well, you are absolute pure joy to work with. I know we've accomplished a lot in the last.
Yes, we have, in a very short period of time.
Yeah, you're always a perfect go-to person, and you've piloted things. You're never afraid to just kind of get into the trenches with me, and it's really just a joy to work with you. So thank you so much for your time today. If you have any questions about how your school can get involved, please don't hesitate to reach out to me, jhall@commonsense.org, or on Twitter @jehall. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.